Good morning. This is the Ramblings of an Indisciplined Mind podcast for Monday, November 14th, 2016. So it is Monday, which means it's Penslinger Day, talking about stuff going on in Penslinger. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my NaNoWriMo progress and then one specific aspect of life that I chose to work into my book. I just passed this morning 30,000 words. I am at the end of Act 1. I expect I'll be doing some writing at lunch today. I expect I'll be finishing that up. It's funny because I did not feel like the words were coming very easily this morning. You know, I'd write a little bit and then I'd have to sit there and think about it, think about the next paragraph or whatever. And so it was kind of stopped and started, and I wanted to do like 1,300 words. And I actually got 1,400 words in. So it worked out very nicely, although it didn't really feel like it was going to do so. But yeah, so I'm expecting that this is probably going to go beyond November as far as writing this work. I'll definitely hit the 50,000 mark easily. The other thing that's going to be interesting is that once I get past what I'm going to write today, for the large part, the Acts 2 and Acts 3 that I had scoped out for the roundtable pitch, because of the different tack I've taken with the characters and whatnot, that's kind of out the window. So I'm going to be really inventing from whole cloth as I go. So that's going to be exciting. We'll see where my brain takes me. One of the things I wanted to do in this world is have a form of swearing, and I kind of wanted to use it to show the differences between the Royals and the Imperials. And I really haven't effectively done that yet. I need to. So there were basically two main words that I wanted to have equivalents for. And one of them would be the F word. And the other one was for shit. Pardon the French. And then there was a third one that I wanted to use but doesn't really apply in Japanese culture, and I'll get to that. So, for the F word, I wanted to come up with something that was kind of like frack is in Battlestar Galactica. I mean, you use it in every mode that you can possibly use that word in our vernacular. Frack me, frack you, what have you. And I wanted to do something like that, and I was sitting there, actually for the longest time I've been thinking about this a while, I thought about using the word fleek. Just because it's such an odd little word, and I do know it's slang meaning. We were watching Next Food Network Star a while back, and there was a chef on there that was always talking about being on fleek. And I thought it was a funny word. So I thought about using that, and I thought, nah, I don't really want to use something that has meaning in our world necessarily. And that has a meaning. My thought process the ancestors of these people, they spent hundreds of years on this generation ship, and they kind of devolved into two main classes. Well, you got the nobles, of which there are many tiers, and you got the royal family, and then you've got the lower people who aren't nobles. And so they kind of developed their own culture, and they developed their own swear words. And they did not use what they call the old tongue, which to us would be Japanese. because they don't want to be like the high and mighty. They don't like them. So they wanted to differentiate themselves from them. And one of the ways that they did that was by creating their own system of swear words. So for the F word, I was trying a lot of things out, and I very quickly decided, not very quickly, I eventually decided that using something that started with F was A, unnecessary, and B, limited me too much. Because there just wasn't, and especially anything with, FU or FR trying to do something like frack, it was just, anything with FU was actually too close, and I just couldn't come up with anything. At one point I liked fleam, and I would say, well, that sounds pretty nice. There's something about that just rang true in my head. But a fleam is actually a thing. I think that's a tool that they used to bleed people back in the older days. No. But I kind of riffed on that, and I came up with a word called skleem, S-K-L-E-E-M. And that's what I'm using. And I'm actually liking it. It's kind of fun. So I've that's, and so Navi, who's obviously from the wrong side of the tracks, if you will, if a solar system has tracks, uses that a lot. I actually have Kogo using this set of swear words because it fits her character, that she likes to use the kind of swear words that a dock worker would use, because it's another way to shock the stiff nobles around her, which she's all into poking them, just like she would do her father when he was alive. So the next word was, I wanted to come up with something, and I was trying to come up with an analog for the second word that I said, and I didn't want to use anything that was a known equivalent today. I didn't want to use crap. I didn't want to use caca or anything. And I got thinking, I thought, well, these people are in, and when these swear words came up, they're in a closed ecology. So they are recycling their waste products, they're recycling their water. And I got thinking about, in Nathan Lowell's world, the byproduct of the solids that can't be recycled, they create what is called sludge, which is, a kind of highly cleansed and dehydrated form of the solid waste products. So we're talking poo, we're talking whatever else that would go down the drain. That would be solid waste. And I thought, well, that might be cool. So I'm using sludge as that word. And then the third one I wanted to do was hell. And as like, what the hell kind of thing. But there's a problem. In the traditional Japanese sense of the word, they don't have hell like we do here in the West. I mean, they have, I forget the term, but they have like a land of the dead, kind of more like what you see in Greek mythology. So it's not so much a place where people go to be tormented, like hell is in the Christian viewpoint. It's just kind of like where all the dead people go. And so I didn't think that really fit. I didn't think it'd be something that would make sense that they would use. And what I've kind of settled on, I just kind of fell into it. There was one point where I have Navi wondering what Uragira was, back in the world, as the saying goes. Like they would use during the Vietnam War. They would talk about being back in the world, meaning just back in the States, back home. And I thought, well, I kind of like that usage. I've always liked that phrasing. But they have 4 worlds, so I changed it to be back in the 4 worlds. And I like that, and I like the sound of that too. So I kind of like, wherever you might say, I thought, well, I can kind of riff off of that. That's kind of interesting. So wherever a character might say, "What the hell are you doing?" I have them say, "What in the 4 worlds are you doing?" And I like the feel of that. It kind of really kind of outlines the, hey, we're not at home anymore. And then that's going to be part of the Emperor's title, I think, ruler of the 4 worlds. I'm actually going to be probably putting that in pretty quick here today. I just thought about that this morning. Now I do have, I have the Japanese equivalents written down for these, for the first 2 words, for Skleem and for Sludge. What I haven't really done is shown anybody using them. Since Kogo, and maybe what I should do is have Kogo switch up. And maybe sometimes she swears like a noble, if that such a thing exists, but she uses Japanese words, and then other times, maybe just for effect, she uses the more dock workery kind of words. So that's something I will need to resolve. I might have her start doing that here, the second act. It'd be something I'd have to fix in the first act, probably during rewrites. But yeah, so that's like one aspect that I'm enjoying. I especially enjoyed, I had a scene where Navi, who is the free stationer who used to work on the mining planet, is telling Yurigira, who is the Emperor in hiding. She knows he's an Imperial, because you can't really hide that. He's got all this stiff upbringing on how to act, and so he really stands out amongst all these people from the free stations. So she decides that, well, she needs to at least teach him how to swear like a stationer. And that was fun because, it gave me a mechanism for explaining the words, even though they'd already been used a little bit. But and at the same time, it was kind of a fun little scene to write between the 2 of them, where he's trying to use them believably, and she's kind of rolling her eyes at him. So that was kind of a fun little scene to write relatively early on. Something they were doing while they were on the ship with Time to Kill. But that's really what I was thinking about today. Fictional swearing. But I will be back tomorrow, and I'll be talking to you then. So, be seeing you.